Video opens with a slow, cinematic zoom onto a cracked and faded photograph of a father and son. The image is distorted, as if seen through old glass. Dust motes drift in a single beam of light. A low, resonant, and slightly ominous ambient track begins to play. Voiceover. Have you ever felt it? A ghost at the controls. You make a decision, you speak a word, you react in anger, and for a chilling instant, it isn't you. It's him. Your father. Or perhaps your mother. A psychological condition we will call the ghost inheritance. It's the invisible programming, the emotional debt, the unwinnable war passed down from one generation to the next. And in this dispatch, we will give you the strategy to win it. We will dissect the anatomy of a 2,000-year-old cycle of trauma, and by the end of our time together, you will hold a field manual for your own liberation. You will understand how to break the chains you never forged. Title: The Sins of the Father. Breaking a 2,000-year cycle of trauma ### Phase 2. The problem, you know the feeling. It's the profound, unshakable sense that you are a passenger in your own life. You have plans. You have ideals. You have sworn 1,000 times that you would be different, kinder, stronger, wiser. And yet, you find yourself walking the same worn-out paths, speaking lines from a script written long before your birth. Have you ever been in a simple disagreement with someone you love, and felt that flash of white-hot anger? The disproportionate rage that boils up from some deep, subterranean well? In the aftermath, as you survey the damage, you hear it. Your father's exact turn of phrase. His specific, cutting cadence. The precise brand of cruelty he specialized in, now coming from your own mouth. In that moment, the horror is not just what you've done. The horror is that you weren't the one who did it. A ghost pulled the trigger. Or perhaps it's quieter. A persistent anxiety you can't trace. A belief that you are fundamentally unworthy, a deep-seated fear of failure that poisons every opportunity before it can even bloom. You look back and see the same fear in your mother's eyes, the same pattern of self-sabotage that defined her life. You inherited her caution, her hesitation, her conviction that the walls are there for your safety, and to venture beyond them is to court annihilation. This is the internal reality of the ghost inheritance. It's not just a set of bad habits. It is a fundamental corruption of your sovereignty. It makes you a puppet, dancing on the strings of ancestral pain. And here is the hidden cost, the part that should terrify you. This poison is not inert. It is alive. And it is contagious. The true consequence of the ghost inheritance is not that you are doomed to repeat the past. It's that you are doomed to transmit it. The pain inflicted upon you, you will inflict upon others. The cage you were raised in, you will build for your own children, brick by painstaking brick. You will look at them one day, and with a grief too vast to comprehend, you will recognize the very monster you swore you'd escaped. You don't just live in the cycle. You become its engine. And the war continues, with your heart as the battlefield, and your future as the casualty. A dramatic, sweeping shot reveals a vast, desolate landscape under a gray sky. The music shifts, becoming more analytical and somber. ## Phase 3. Solution: to understand how to break this cycle, we must turn our attention to one of history's most tragic case studies in generational warfare. The story of Grisha Yeager and his two sons, Zeke and Eren. Do not mistake this for a simple narrative. This is a clinical dissection of a psychological mechanism. Grisha Yeager is an archetype. He is the father burdened by the sins of his fathers, the collective trauma of the Eldian people. He was handed a mission: restore his people to glory, find freedom beyond the walls. It was a noble cause, born of profound suffering. But a mission inherited is not a mission chosen. He rebelled. He rejected his father's mission utterly. He came to see his father's ideology, and by extension, his entire race, as the source of all the world's suffering. Herein lies the fatal error, the strategic blunder that dooms so many of us. From this story, we can extract the core principles that govern the physics of generational trauma. Principle 1. The principle of inescapable inheritance. You do not begin with a blank slate. You are born into the middle of a story. The battlefield is already mapped, the strategic positions already set. The walls that confine your thinking, your emotional responses, your very identity, they were built by your ancestors. Grisha was born into the cage of Marleyan oppression. You were born into the emotional architecture of your family. You cannot wish this away. To pretend you are a self-made man, an island unto yourself, is the first and most profound delusion. Acknowledging the terrain is the first step in any successful campaign. You must accept that you carry the ghosts of your bloodline within you. They are part of your initial troop deployment. Principle 2. The principle of oppositional reinforcement. This is the trap that ensnared Zeke, and it is the trap that captures most of us. In our desperate attempt to escape our father's shadow, we run in the opposite direction with all our might. If he was a tyrant, we become pathologically permissive. If he was weak, we become obsessed with strength. If he was a fanatic, we become cynical nihilists. But look closer. In every case, the father remains the central point of orientation. Our identity is still defined by him, but in negative image. We become an anti-father, which is merely another kind of father. Zeke hated Grisha's zealous plan to save Eldia, so he devised his own zealous plan to euthanize Eldia. One forced life, the other forced death. Both were grandiose, messianic schemes to solve the world's problems by imposing their will upon it. Zeke thought he was killing his father, but he had simply put on his father's uniform and reversed the colors. By fighting the ghost head-on, you give it form. You give it strength. What you resist, persists. And what you define yourself in opposition to, you secretly become. Principle 3. The principle of radical acceptance and redirection. This brings us to the second son, Eren Yeager. His path was darker, more terrifying, but strategically, it holds the key. Unlike Zeke, Eren did not simply react against his father. He went deeper. He journeyed into the very heart of the ghost inheritance, the coordinated memory of 2,000 years of pain, war, and sin. He did not reject the ghost of his father, he consumed it. He did not deny the horror of his ancestry, he integrated it. He looked upon the totality of the curse, all the way back to its origin, and he accepted it. He said, "This is me. All of it." And in that moment of radical acceptance, a new possibility emerged. The inheritance was no longer a ghost controlling him from the past. It became fuel. It became a source of immense, terrifying power. He was no longer just a victim of history, he became its agent. This is the solution, distilled to its essence. The ghost inheritance is a raging river of ancestral trauma, flowing through you. You can try to build a dam, like Zeke did. This is oppositional reinforcement. You can spend your entire life fighting the current, piling up stones of resentment, anger, and denial. But the river's pressure never stops building. And eventually, the dam will break, and the resulting flood will destroy you and everything you tried to protect. Or, you can practice radical acceptance and redirection. You study the river. You learn its currents, its power, its direction. You accept that the river is real and its force is immense. And then, you don't try to stop it. You build a channel. You dig a new path. You divert that colossal energy toward a destination of your own choosing. You do not deny the power you've inherited, you seize command of it. You don't kill the father. You become a better commander. Visually, the scene shifts to something more stark and instructional. Schematics, diagrams, and text overlays appear on screen, illustrating the concepts being explained. The music becomes more focused and less ambient. Phase 4. The application. This is not philosophy for the archives. This is a practical, operational doctrine. Step 1. Conduct an ancestral autopsy. You cannot defeat an enemy you do not understand. Your first mission is intelligence gathering. Take a pen and paper. Or open a secure file on your computer. Your target is your primary caregiver, your father, your mother, the person whose ghost haunts you the most. Your task is to write a psychological dossier. Do not judge. Do not rage. Simply observe and record, like a military historian chronicling a past campaign. Ask the hard questions. What were their defining traumas? What were their unfulfilled ambitions? What were their greatest fears? What lies did they tell themselves to survive? What were their go-to tactics in a conflict? Was it rage, silent treatment, guilt, manipulation? List their addictions, their prejudices, their core beliefs about the world. You are mapping the source code of the ghost inheritance. This is the intelligence that will allow you to predict the enemy's moves, because the enemy is a piece of them living inside of you. Step 2. Identify the inherited mission. Every ghost inheritance comes with a set of orders, an unconscious mission brief. Grisha's mission for Zeke was, save our people. Was it? Be successful at all costs, because I was a failure. Was it? Never trust anyone, because I was betrayed. Was it? Be the perfect, quiet child, because I could not handle conflict. Or was it? Fix this broken family, because I do not have the strength. Identify this mission. Write it down in a single, clear sentence. This is the core directive of your ghost. It is the magnetic north to which your unconscious behavior constantly defaults. For years, you have been a loyal soldier serving a mission you never consciously accepted. Step 3. Perform a declaration of sovereignty. This is the moment of insurrection. It must be a conscious, deliberate, and formal act. Take the inherited mission you wrote down in Step 2. Read it aloud. Acknowledge the weight it has had on your life. Acknowledge the role it played in your parents' own story. Then, draw a line through it. And on the line below, you will write your new mission. Your sovereign mission. This is not a reaction. It is a creation. It is not an anti-mission. If their mission for you is, be ruthless in business, your mission is not, reject all ambition. That is still oppositional reinforcement. A truly sovereign mission might be, I will build a life of sustainable purpose, defined by integrity and compassion. This new mission must come from you. It must be your choice. By writing it, by declaring it, you are formally relieving the ghost of its command. You are staging a coup in the headquarters of your own soul. You are no longer your father's soldier. You are the commander of your own life. Step 4. Practice compassionate detachment. A declaration is not the end of the war, it is the beginning. The ghost will not go quietly. The old programming will try to run. The old anger, the old fear, the old self-loathing will rise up. This is where the battle is won or lost, day by day. When you feel the old pattern emerge, the surge of rage, the wave of anxiety, your training is not to fight it. Fighting it gives it power. Your training is to practice compassionate detachment. You must step back, become the observer, the commander on the hill watching the battle below. You must name the ghost. Say to yourself, internally, ah, there it is. That is my father's anger. I recognize it. It is an echo from his pain. Or, I see this fear. This is my mother's terror of scarcity. It is a part of my history, but it is not my command. In this act of naming and observing without judgment, you perform a kind of psychological jujutsu. You are not repressing the feeling, nor are you indulging it. You are unfusing from it. You are acknowledging its presence as a historical artifact, a ghost in the machine, but you are refusing to grant it authority over the controls. You let it pass through you, an echo in an empty hall. This is the daily practice. This is the slow, arduous work of reclaiming your territory, inch by inch. You do not exorcise the ghost. You demote it from commander to a powerless advisor, whose counsel you are now free to ignore. The visual style returns to the epic, cinematic shots. We see images of colossal titans fighting, of soldiers soaring through the air, of desperate, monumental struggles. The music becomes grand, tragic, and powerful. Phase 5. The proof of this doctrine is etched into the very fabric of our case study. Zeke Yeager is the ultimate cautionary tale of oppositional reinforcement. His entire life was a reaction. He hated his father's plan, so he created a perfect mirror image of it. He hated the curse of his blood, so his solution was to eradicate his own bloodline. His rebellion was so total, so absolute, that it became a form of inverted obedience. He never escaped his father's gravity, he merely orbited him in the opposite direction, forever trapped. His freedom was the most ornate cage imaginable. He failed to break the cycle, he simply tried to bring the cycle to a dead end through annihilation. And the historical parallel is undeniable. Look at the Treaty of Versailles after the First World War. The Allied powers, determined to punish Germany for its aggression, the sins of the fatherland, imposed crippling reparations and national humiliation. It was a strategy of oppositional reinforcement on a global scale. They sought to crush the German war machine, to break its spirit. And what was the result? The resentment and economic despair they created became the fertile soil in which an even more monstrous ideology grew. By trying to violently kill the ghost of German militarism, they inadvertently summoned a demon that would consume the world. Their solution guaranteed a second, more catastrophic war. The psychologist Carl Jung built his life's work on this very principle. He spoke of the shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny, repress, and project onto others. Jung's great insight was this: what you refuse to integrate, you are doomed to be ruled by. Until you make the unconscious conscious, he wrote, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. You cannot kill your shadow. You cannot kill the ghost. You must turn, face it, and integrate it into a larger, more conscious whole. This is what Eren Yeager did, in his own cataclysmic way. He made the unconscious of his entire race conscious within himself. He looked at the 2,000-year shadow of his people and did not flinch. He integrated the rage of the oppressed, the arrogance of the oppressor, the sins of the father and the mother and every child in between. And by accepting the totality of his inheritance, he was able to seize control and redirect its immense energy toward a single, horrific, but undeniably sovereign goal. We are not here to condone his methods. We are here to analyze his strategy. He broke the cycle not by running from the past, but by running through it, and out the other side. He demonstrates, at a terrifying scale, that true freedom is not the absence of history. It is the mastery of it. The music softens, becoming more contemplative and personal. The final visuals are of a lone figure standing on a cliff, looking out at a vast, uncertain dawn. Phase 6. The call to action. The wars that define us are not fought on distant battlefields. They are fought in the quiet theater of the mind, against the ghosts of our own past. The strategies we have discussed today are your weapons for that fight. The sins of the father are not the sins of the son. But the burdens of the father often are. You are not responsible for the wounds you inherit, but you are responsible for the choice not to pass them on. So now, I turn the briefing over to you. In the comments below, I want you to answer this question. What is one ghost inheritance? A belief, a habit, or an emotional pattern that you are consciously fighting to break from your own bloodline? Let the comments section be a testament to our collective struggle. A place where we acknowledge the weight of our history, and our commitment to forging a different future. We are soldiers of the mind here, fighting battles on interior fronts. This is not a channel for passive entertainment, it is a training ground. If you are committed to this war for self-liberation, subscribe to Beyond the Walls and join the Survey Corps of the Soul. And if you are ready for your next mission, understanding the cycle of trauma is only the beginning. To truly grasp the power of a sovereign will, you must understand the man who weaponized memory itself. Click here to watch our deep dive analysis, The Psychology of a War God, how Eren Yeager became inevitable. It is the logical and necessary continuation of today's briefing. Dismissed.